But I want to get into the nitty gritty of Bitcoin here. And the point of the game is really to bring up, things we commonly hear about Bitcoin. So with more and more interest now on Bitcoin, you saw it making the front page of the Financial Times. Everyone wants to know about Bitcoin. I want you to dispel or poo-poo or agree with things we commonly hear about Bitcoin. So here we go. Seen and overheard on the street at Katz's Deli. Bitcoin is the world's first distributed, decentralized Ponzi scheme. Max Keiser.
It's demonstrably, provably not a Ponzi scheme. As a matter of fact, it's a reverse Ponzi scheme. In a Ponzi scheme, the base of the Ponzi scheme has to constantly get wider and bigger. The new money has to keep coming in to pay the investors off who have gotten into the Ponzi scheme early. That's a Ponzi scheme, as Charles Ponzi created the Ponzi scheme with his scheme of, I believe it was stamps, and they had a stamp collecting Ponzi scheme, and that's where we get the term from. And we now also look at Bernie Madoff was running a bit of a Ponzi scheme in that he was paying off investor returns with the new money coming in. Now let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is actually the opposite. Every 4 years, the amount of money that's mined on a daily basis shrinks by 50% in what's called the halving. So we started off with 50 coins per distribution on the mining output per 10 minutes. And then we had a halving down to 25, and then a halving down to 12.5, and a halving down to 6.25. So actually it's a reverse Ponzi scheme. The amount of money that's entering the system is shrinking, not expanding. So that's a very simple point. And anyone who calls it a Ponzi scheme, A, doesn't know what a Ponzi scheme is, and B, has never looked at Bitcoin for more than 5 seconds, or just accepted like a Nouriel Rubini tweet as if that has a meaning, but he's never looked at it either. So that's demonstrably, provably wrong.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's just, if you know what 2 + 2 = 4, then you know that this is not a Ponzi scheme if you look at a definition of a Ponzi scheme and you look at the distribution of coins within Bitcoin. It's so simple that any 9-year-old would look at this for 5 minutes and tell you exactly the same thing. But again, we have a mainstream media that doesn't qualify to have the intelligence of a 9-year-old. They simply repeat propaganda points because they're propagandists.
Oh, seen and overheard on the street. The only thing Bitcoin has going for it is a rising price. Without it, it would tank.
Well, that's again, not true. So what Bitcoin has for it is that it's a savings technology, the best savings technology ever invented, the best hard money that's ever been invented. And humans have a real need for hard money to do trade. Humans like to trade and they want hard money. That's what, over the thousands of years, gold kind of evolved to be a great way to trade in something that had a store of value, so that I accepted your gold today for goods and services. I could respend that gold in the future. And you couldn't do that so well with beads and shells or, the different things that have been tried for money for many years. And gold was doing a pretty good job for a long time. Then Bitcoin came around and it's doing a better job than gold because it's scarcer than gold. So it's harder than gold. It's absolute scarcity of 21 million coins. Gold is inflating at, let's say, 2% a year. And we know that if the price of gold goes up, the technology to find more gold will also increase. So that number could go 3, 4, 5, 6% a year, just like we saw in the energy markets. It's not, the gold supply is elastic. It's not inelastic. It's not finite. It's elastic. So that's a problem. Number two, it's unlike gold, it's unconfiscatable. When I was saying Bitcoin, you cannot confiscate Bitcoin. You cannot censor Bitcoin. It's portable, more portable than gold. It's more divisible than gold. So it's on every single key point that you like gold, Bitcoin does a better job. It's hard money and it's a store of value. That's its primary purpose. That's its number one goal. Why is it going up in price? Is because we live in a world of hundreds of trillions and quadrillion of fiat money that is destroying people's lives, destroying economies, creating wealth and income gaps that are creating social unrest. And it feeds malfeasance. Every time the U.S. government makes a stupid mistake, they paper it over by printing more money. Same thing with all these other G20 countries. Since 1971, since we went off the gold standard. If you make a mistake, you make a blunder with your policy, just paper it over with more printed money. Oh, By the way, does that create more cantillionaires at the top who then control more of government, and the corruption goes wider, and the people at the bottom are getting poorer and the purchasing power is weakening? Yes, it does. But tell that to the people who are printing the money and putting it into their pocket. They don't care.
This game is getting you fired up. When new buyers stop coming in, then Tether buys and manipulates the price higher.
Tether is 7% or less of the market. It was big in 2017. That was a talking point from 2017. It was resurrected recently. I think Rubini likes to keep talking Tether, Tether, Tether. Again, no, he has no understanding of this at all and has never done any research on it. He just farts into his Twitter account and expects everyone to think that his farts smell really good. But guess what, Nuriel? Your farts stink and your logic is broken, and you haven't even spent 3 minutes studying this and how NYU keeps you employed. As an NYU alumnus, I've sent a few letters to them saying he needs to be fired, gotten rid of immediately. He's a plague at NYU. He's embarrassing alumnus like myself at NYU with his utter contempt for civility and, well, maybe not civility, but intelligence. And it's gross, and he should be gotten rid of. I don't care if he's got tenure. So Tether is not a factor. Tether is not in play. It was brought about in 2017 as a way to trade in and out of Bitcoin into a US dollar surrogate. It's basically a money market. You know, money markets have a use. People trade in and out of a money market. If I have an account and full of stocks and I sell my stock and I go into a money market until I find a new stock. Same thing with a Tether or a stable coin or a US dollar type cryptocurrency. It's like a money market. And like in the money markets in 2008, remember, there was a threat that it would break the buck because money markets are not, you know, exactly 100% a guaranteed piece of paper. Yeah, there's counterparty risk with basic money market account. Hello, if this is news to you, wake up. Your money market has counterparty risk. So does Tether. So does every security in the world. So does every exchange in the world. The only thing without counterparty risk is Bitcoin. Bitcoin has no counterparty risk. That's something else gold doesn't have. Gold has counterparty risk. Gold has verification risk. Gold is expensive. It costs 7% a year to store it, to verify it, to transport it. Gold is expensive on all counts.
I'm kind of surprised. And like I said, we'll get to gold in a bit, but this anger towards gold, because you own gold, you own silver. And last time we spoke, you liked gold.
I'm not angry. I'm not angry. I'm simply getting into the groove, baby. I'm funky.
Yeah, no, I love it.
I'm funky, not angry. Funk is different than angry. You wouldn't say James Brown is angry. He's funky, right? He gets it on the one, and he's going down that path, right? I'm funky, baby. I'm not angry.
Let's keep.
So let's get on the path. So gold is, yes, I own gold. I own silver, and I've owned them for a long time. I started buying gold at $400 an ounce. I started buying silver at $500 an ounce, and I've got a lot of silver. I'll wager you that I've got more gold and silver bullion than Peter Schiff has personally.
Why wouldn't you sell it? Would you sell it and just go all in Bitcoin?
Well, a lot of it is actually hard to get to. It's hard to move it. It's sitting in a warehouse, and it's actually difficult to sell gold and silver. This is why it's not great. I've tried to sell it and move it and do a lot of stuff to it, but it's actually not that easy to do.